What if I told you that the biggest sports brand in the world, worn by LeBron James, Serena Williams, and even Michael Jordan, started out of the trunk of a car? Imagine building a billion-dollar empire, not with a massive factory or a huge marketing team, but with just one man, a dream, and some Japanese running shoes. Sounds impossible, right? Well, this is exactly how Nike, a brand worth over $180 billion today, began. In today's video, we're diving deep into the true, gritty, hustle-driven story of how Nike rose from nothing, literally nothing, to becoming the Goliath of global sportswear. And stay till the end because we'll uncover the one major risk Nike took that could have destroyed the company, but instead made it legendary. Welcome to the rise of Nike, from selling shoes out of a trunk to a global empire. And did you know the name Nike almost never existed? Wait till you hear what it was originally going to be called. Humble beginnings. The story begins in the early 1960s with Phil Knight, a Stanford graduate and former middle-distance runner. Phil had a passion for running, but even more than that, he had an idea. He believed that Japanese running shoes, like those made by Onitsuka Tiger, could compete with the expensive German brands dominating the US market, like Adidas and Puma. So what did Phil do? He convinced his track coach, Bill Bowerman, to join him in importing the shoes to America. They scraped together $500 each and launched a company called Blue Ribbon Sports in 1964. Here's the kicker. Phil literally sold shoes out of the back of his Plymouth Valiant at track meets. No storefront, no employees. Just Phil, a trunk full of shoes, and a dream. And you know what? It worked. But why did they change the name from Blue Ribbon to Nike? And what does Nike even mean? You'll find out in just a moment. The birth of Nike. By the early 1970s, Blue Ribbon Sports had done well, but tensions were rising between them and their Japanese supplier, Onitsuka. Phil knew it was time to create their own brand, and that's where the name Nike came in. Named after the Greek goddess of victory, the idea came to employee Jeff Johnson in a dream. That's right, a dream. Talk about divine inspiration. But not everyone was sold on the name at first. Phil Knight himself said he didn't love it, but couldn't think of anything better. Alongside the name came the iconic swoosh logo, designed by a graphic design student named Carolyn Davidson. Her fee? Just $35. Let that sink in. One of the most recognizable logos in history was made for the price of a tank of gas. And yet it symbolized something huge: speed, motion, and ambition. Nike was born, but Nike didn't rise to fame on a logo alone. In fact, their first big break came from a revolutionary shoe design that literally changed the game. Innovation that shocked the world. In 1972, just before the US Olympic trials, Nike released the Waffle Trainer, a shoe with a sole inspired by a waffle iron. Yes, Bill Bowerman had literally poured rubber into his wife's kitchen waffle maker to create better traction for runners. This shoe wasn't just quirky, it was revolutionary. Runners started loving Nike's new designs, and the shoes took off in popularity. Sales skyrocketed. By 1974, Nike had sold $5 million worth of shoes, and in 1978, Nike officially became Nike Inc. But they weren't done innovating. Over the years, they released the Nike Air series with air cushioning technology, the Shocks with energy return columns, and of course, the line that would change marketing forever, Air Jordans. But what if I told you Nike almost didn't sign Michael Jordan? That deal almost fell apart. And another brand could have had the GOAT, the Michael Jordan gamble. In 1984, Nike made a risky bet. They wanted to sign a young, unproven NBA rookie named Michael Jordan. But here's the twist. Jordan didn't want to sign with Nike. He actually preferred Adidas. It took massive convincing, including a meeting with his parents, to get him on board. Nike offered him a $250,000 deal, plus royalties, and promised to build an entire line around him. The result? The birth of Air Jordan, a cultural phenomenon. In just 1 year, the Air Jordan 1 brought in $126 million, and suddenly Nike wasn't just a sportswear company, it was a cultural icon. This move redefined athlete endorsements forever. It paved the way for deals with Tiger Woods, Kobe Bryant, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Serena Williams. But Nike's story isn't all smooth sailing. In fact, they almost collapsed under the weight of scandal and controversy. Scandal, sweatshops, and a rebirth. In the 1990s, Nike faced a massive public backlash. Reports surfaced that Nike's overseas factories, mostly in Asia, were filled with unsafe working conditions, low wages, and even child labor. Nike went from being loved to being boycotted. The company had to act fast. In response, Nike restructured its supply chain, hired compliance teams, and invited independent audits. They became one of the first major brands to publicly report on their factory conditions. It was a hard lesson, but it made Nike stronger. Today, Nike invests in sustainable manufacturing, diversity, and athlete-led innovation more than ever before. So how big is Nike now? Wait till you hear just how far they've come. From a car trunk in Oregon to being worth over $180 billion. From selling Japanese imports to redefining global fashion, tech, and culture. Nike didn't just create shoes. They created a movement, a belief in human potential, in performance, and in the idea that with enough hustle, just do it isn't just a slogan, it's a way of life. So next time you lace up a pair of Nikes, remember, you're not just wearing a shoe, you're wearing the result of a dream, a risk, and a revolution. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more inspiring business stories and brand histories. And hey, leave a comment below. What's your favorite Nike memory or sneaker? We read everyone.